Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, on a beautiful Wednesday here on the Film Guy Network. And I'm going to be honest with you. Few things about one Brock Bowers make a lot of sense to me, all right? If I'm just going to be honest with you and quantify it, say, hey, let's try to find some sense in this equation. Can't find a lot of it. He's from Napa, California. Did you know that there's only 2 NFL players in the history of the NFL from Napa, California? The last one was some offensive tackle in the mid-'90s named Mike Gibson. Don't know, never heard of him. Nonetheless, there's only been 2 of them. There's set to be 3 very, very soon. He's going to go down as the greatest of all time in a lot of opinions at the tight end position. And he was ranked outside of the top 300 for majority of his recruitment process. In fact, he was the number 2 overall tight end shortly after committing to the University of Georgia. Funny how those bumps always happen, but we've always talked about that. That's to be expected in terms of the ratings bump. But he is going to go down as the greatest tight end of all time, particularly at the University of Georgia, and he's going to do so as not exactly the most gifted, all right, in the history of Georgia football at the position. And I know that's going to sound rather crazy. A lot of people are going to think, but Brooks, he's like way faster than anybody else that's played the position. And I would say, yeah, that's probably his one-of-one trait, right? In terms of physical gifts, he's way faster than everybody else. But I would also probably argue that most of that speed is probably a byproduct of his work ethic. He runs faster than everybody else because he runs harder than everybody else, right? That is his nature. That is what his attribute is, right? He is not the biggest. He is not the freakiest, but yet he is the best, right? He's the best of all time. And how? How did we get to that? If he's not the biggest, if it's not the freakiest, but he is somehow the best, how did he get there? What is his alien trait? Right? What is his alien trait? What does he do so much better than everybody else that he is this person, that he is this football player? His alien trait is his work ethic, folks. It always has been. If you listen to the stories about this individual during his time at the University of Georgia, they revolve around his work ethic. He is the fastest. He is the best because he runs harder, he runs longer, he works harder. His work ethic is that of a psycho, right? This dude is a psycho. So when he went down against Vanderbilt and it was reported that he was going to ultimately have tightrope surgery, there was no doubt in my mind that he would inevitably be back in a Georgia uniform at some point. I was confident of that, right? We had very, very staunch opinions about people thinking that he might wrap it up and call it a career at the University of Georgia. We knew for a fact he would be back. I was confident that he was going to be back. I was confident that he was going to do so and try to defy all of the odds in terms of the timetable in his return. And I was positive that he was going to attack rehab and attack this process of getting back onto the field just as hard as he did any other process throughout his career. We reported last week over on patreon.com/Brooks Austin that he was back running on the sideline at speeds that were staggering. Speeds when I was told last week and the end of last week, when I got the word on it, dude, I didn't even want to report it. I didn't. I thought it was fugazi. I didn't believe it. I didn't think that it was possible that this dude would be back running in a straight line somewhere around 19, 20 miles per hour. But I did report on patreon.com/Brooks Austin that he was back running, and he was back running pretty daggum fast. Marcus Rosemi Jack Saint confirmed those reports, as we told you yesterday, saying in his media availability that indeed it was true. Brock Bowers was running last week as fast as 20 miles per hour. Kirby Smart talked to the media today again in this SEC teleconference, and he kind of gave another update. We've been given these acceleration numbers. We've been given these speed numbers, but of course, it's always a little bit more difficult than just raw data points, all right? These are very complex situations. They are moving situations. And it's not just that data point that they're taking into consideration at the University of Georgia. It's not just acceleration. It's deceleration. How fast can you stop yourself once you get going? Those are the numbers that they're also taking a look at right now. But here's what I know. Here's what I know to be fact, right? I know for a fact that Brock Bowers loves football and loves playing football, particularly for the University of Georgia. I've already talked about it. I know he's a psycho when it comes to work ethic, but I also know through some back channel reporting and some things that we've always been hearing about rumblings with regards to this guy might be playing through something. All right, this guy might be banged up. This guy might be this. This guy might be that. I'm here to tell you, Brock Bowers has played through a tremendous amount of pain already at this point in his career. There have been other times in football games where most people probably would have been on the sideline, yet 19's out there playing. So I know for a fact his pain tolerance is rather ridiculous and rather out of this world, okay? He deals with pain a little bit different than everybody else. And I also know for a fact that this dude's doing everything possible to get back onto the field as fast as possible. All right, so here's what you're here for tonight. You're here looking at the title of the show, and you want to hear some type of intel, and I'll give you a little bit right here, all right? This has already been on patreon.com/Brooks Austin for a couple of days now. I have it on pretty good authority that he might have dressed last week. Like, there might have been some dressing just to dress last week, all right? And they pulled the curtain on that one. I have unequivocal doubt, like no doubt at all, that number 19 is going to run out of the tunnel on Saturday in full pads. The question to me at this point is whether or not he's actually going to play snaps. But I have it on like pretty good feeling that there's very little that football staff and that room and that community around Brock Bowers right now is going to be able to do anything to keep him from not dressing on Saturday, because it is rare, gentlemen, and by the way, welcome in, it is rare that we have a football player that is this talented with this much money on the line, right? Presumed money on the line. And you have to like hold the reins on the kid and say, hey, buddy, no, like slow down. We don't necessarily absolutely 1,000% need you this week. Will you chill out? And again, if you listen to Todd Hartley's pressers and media availabilities this year, all he talked about was how he has to tell Brock, sit your ass on the sideline, don't move. I guess to talk to him like that. Like, do not move. You are not going in on this rep. That's who this football player was this season. That's who this football player has been his entire year or his entire career. That's who this football player remains. I expect to see him full padded on Saturday inside Sanford Stadium for the last time.
Man, when he comes out of that tunnel, it might provide one of the most memorable moments in like Georgia football history. Just knowing like what Brock Bowers has done for this program and knowing who he is. I mean, he has become one of the most beloved players in program history. And to see him come out of the tunnel on Saturday in a jersey, I think it's going to be electric, regardless of if he plays or not.
Yeah, just to see him in full pads one last time in Sanford is going to be really important to the fans and to him, I think. So I'm looking forward to it.
And again, it's not confirmed. It's not anything I've been told. I just got a real good suspicion based off everything that I've heard. And I've got some different timelines on this stuff that I want to talk about just in a second. But I want to